Park Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional home to the Game Sports Show, Canadian franchise Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, located on 601 Great Northern Road, Sault Ste. Marie. Come in and join Boston Pizza for its numerous specials that are offered. After 9 p.m. daily, come in to Boston Pizza for $9 schooners, $4 rail drinks, and delicious food. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, you're among friends.
Booyah, and it's time for the Game Sports Show. It is yours truly, David McCaig. It is July the 6th, 2018, Friday. Going into the weekend, what better way to start off your weekend than listen to the Game Sports Show? We're here live on location at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, and yes, we're here on a Friday, as I mentioned, and we're changing our dates for this week, anyways, as the July month, as I mentioned on the Wednesday edition of the Game Sports Show, is that we're going to have some agenda changes this month. So we're here on a Friday for a special edition of the Game Sports Show, I guess you can call it. As I mentioned, you listen closely to some agenda changes this month for the month of July for the Game Sports Show. A lot of transition and additions, I like to call it. But before I get into the agenda and before I get into all the fun stuff and then I introduce my usual two, Justin and Brad, I'm going to get through the usual introduction portion here of the Game Sports Show. And as I mentioned, we're here at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. It is after 9 p.m. and that's where we're a part of the daily specials. That's the $9 schooners for most of Canadian and Coors Light products, along with the $4 bar rails and the half price off appetizers here at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. And a list of additional sponsors here on the Game Sports Show, and there's a big list. Very proud of this big list, obviously. And here's sticking in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. There is Sports Center Bar and Grill. There's North Shore Sports and Auto, the Super E Pro Shop, the Salon, Discover the Canvas, Northern Critters in Need, Big Brother, Big Sister, KBX Hockey, and also Silver Creek Golf Course. With, lastly, but not least, Northern Signs, whom designs our t-shirts that you can get on our website or just by getting a hold of myself, Justin, Brad, Jamie, Dustin, or Scott, or even EJ or Butch. And that is for $25 only. You can purchase a Game Sports Show t-shirt, like I said, $25, and the proceeds go towards charity, Northern Critters in Need, and Big Brother, Big Sister. You can also check out previous podcasts and live shows on the Game Sports Show website, www.thegamesportshow.com. You can also follow the Game Sports Show on thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Simply just sign in, follow, and you can be up to date on the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. Now, we also have an email, thegamesportshowssm@gmail.com. You can simply just state if you're ordering a t-shirt, you can say how many shirts that you need, and we will deliver the shirts to your location. Obviously, also state your size as well. If it's a small, a child, if it's an XL, if it's a large, whatever it may be, it does not matter. We have all sizes here on the Game Sports Show, and we can deliver it for free anywhere, free of charge, as I said, in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, or Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. If you live outside this region, then unfortunately, there are going to be some shipping costs, but we'll try to make it worth your while. We're giving you a couple discounts on some products and whatnot of the Game Sports Show. Or even if you just want to get a hold of ourselves on the Game Sports Show, and that's, you can do so. You can also reach us where you answer our trivia question, which people have asked. How come the trivia question has been asked in the last couple weeks? Like I said, transitions here on the Game Sports Show. We're having a new modification to the trivia question that I'm just going to get to in just a few moments. Now, going to get through a little bit of the agenda changes on the Game Sports Show before I bring in the fellas, as I mentioned on the Wednesday edition of the Game Sports Show live at Sports Center Bar and Grill. The Game Sports Show is going to have our usual shows every Monday at the Wicked Sister, and that's myself and Scott Mason live on location, and that's not changing. I know we've had some changes there throughout the summer with terms of dates, and we've had some weeks off due to the summer months. However, we are there every Monday, and that's at the Wicked Sister, which you can both hear live and on the Podbean website, and also the website, thegamesportshow.com. Now, Wednesdays at Sports Center Bar and Grill is not changing. From September until May, myself, Jamie, Justin, Dustin, and Matt Primo, new guest on the Game Sports Show, a new analyst on the football side for local SaberCats. We are there every Wednesday. That's September to May, as I said. But for the summer months, of the end of May until the end of August, we are there every second Wednesday. We are there this upcoming week again for back-to-back weeks, just simply due to canceling a week when we should have had the show. So, like I said, summer months are every second Wednesday, where September till May is every Wednesday. Now, Thursdays at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, we've had a lot of agenda changes, as I mentioned. This is still the plan to have shows between Thursdays Fridays, or Sundays at Boston Pizza. Now, to clear this up, very simply, we are going to be every week stating what the agenda is going to be on the show, as we always do. But as you know, this Friday here we're at Boston Pizza. This upcoming Sunday, we are at Silver Creek Golf Course. We're making our debut at Silver Creek Golf Course, where we'll be talking hockey and golf, which is going to be connected to our Boston Pizza show, which will be on Thursdays, Fridays, or Sundays. So to simplify it, on Thursday we're either going to be at Boston Pizza or Silver Creek, and on Sunday, we're either going to be at Boston Pizza or Silver Creek. So when you're listening to the Monday or Wednesday show of the Game Sports Show, just listen closely to that. Or get a hold of anyone here on the show, including myself or Scott Nason, and we'll let you know where we are that specific week. As for the month of July, it is going to be quite confusing where we're going to be on location. But in August, it's going to be the Monday, Wednesday show. But then on Thursdays, we are going to be at Silver Creek consistently as Boston Pizza. As many people have heard, it's the same way there's going to be some transition, fair to say, at Boston Pizza, as the location will not be in Sault Ste. Marie any longer. And I'm not too sure if that's fully released to the public yet, so I'm not giving that 100% confirmation, as I shouldn't be the one saying that on air for confirmation. But just so that I can protect myself, I'm going to say that it is basically complete, and that every Thursday we will be at Silver Creek for the summer months, and there may be some agenda changes where that is on Sundays as well. So make sure you keep a close ear and that volume high to ensure that you know where the show is going to be for that Thursday or Sunday. Now, people are asking about September. I can't fully release that as of yet. I can tell you right now that we are getting some close sponsorship with local brewery, Northern Superior Brewery. And we are going to be working with Northern Superior Brewery about our location in September. I know people have been pointing fingers and reaching out to me asking if Pier 55 is going to be the place of interest for the Game Sports Show, or if we're going to be at Wacky Wings, or if we're going to be going to different places. But like I said, that is still going to be finalized. But I am happy to announce that we are potentially going to be bringing on Northern Superior Brewery, and we have some fun goodies when it comes to Northern Superior Brewery, as we are going to be very proud to have a local brewery as such on a local business. We'll be working closely a lot with the Thunderbirds and Greyhounds this year as well. So we're going to have a big ties and the main ties of your sports here locally and nationally, truly grasping every sports that we could here on the Game Sports Show. Now, that was about 7 minutes of me talking about a bunch of different agenda changes, sponsors, and everything that is changing here on the Game Sports Show. So I can understand it's getting a little bit confusing potentially. But to sum it all up, Monday's Wicked Sister, Wednesday Sports Center, Thursday and or Sunday for the month of July being at Boston Pizza or Silver Creek. August, every Thursday or Sunday will be at Silver Creek. And then in September, we'll have a new location for our Thursday show. So fellas, bring you on in here finally. 7 minutes and 21 seconds into the show. Going to the guy to my right, Justin Heichel. The guy to my left, Brad Kutchmiller. You guys are switching sides today. Usually Justin's on my left and Brad's on my right. But you know what? I did make this change. So we made the call. We switched our seat here at Boston Pizza just to kind of be away from the speaker underneath us from the back corner. We came in the other corner where the hockey jerseys are around us. And, you know, it's, let's just say, we got to keep this new mic that we have, this nice new fancy mic that we got from Tree, Andrew Nathan, whom is a part of the show in the background here on the Game Sports Show. This mic is very expensive and very awesome. So it's such good quality. It catches everything. And myself, I should say, is learning the ways of the mic. So if there's any clarity problems, just let me know, or any listening problems, you let me know, and I'll try to make it better for you, the listeners. But everything should be good here. It's better in this corner, being in our own little corner, observing the great atmosphere at Boston Pizza, and being able to give you the best show possible. Justin, getting to you now, though, sir. Like the shirt that you're wearing, the Game Sports Show. I like the hat that you always wear, gray in color. You usually have an Under Armour one or that one. You have glasses on top of it, and you're also wearing jeans, if anyone wants to know what Justin's wearing. I like getting my weird introductions for you. I like the beard. It's growing nicely. I thought you were going to shave it when Toronto made a big signing at the July 1st. So we're going to get to it in just a few moments, but I guess you're keeping it.
This is my Stanley Cup beard, Dave. When the Leafs finally win the Cup, I'm going to keep the beard, and I'll just finally give up on my hairline.
So are you keeping the beard until Toronto wins the Cup, you're saying?
I'm probably going to keep the beard for an extended period of time, because that's where hair mostly grows on my head and face area. It's not really growing on the top anymore. So I'm saying when the Leafs finally win the Cup, I'll get rid of the Homer Simpson do and commit to the bald.
You should, or maybe take the hair from your beard and put it on your head.
I don't want to do the Trump comb over, so I'm going to stay away from that.
That would be a pretty heroic comb over.
It'd be a great comb over, wouldn't it be? But now, speaking about hair here.
Okay.
The guy to my left with some magnificent flow. Here we go. Get the drum roll going here. You got a U.S. hat on.
USA baseball.
USA baseball.
That hair.
And one of the best smiles. There we go.
It's true. I can't argue that.
You work with Sue today. Well known in this community for sports. Everyone knows who Brad Kochmelio is. So I don't have to give you any more of an introduction. That's how good you are.
Yeah, everybody knows who I am. Some people might not like who I am. You never know. I've heard that before.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be the first time. Like to think most people like me. Like to think our listeners like me.
Yeah.
I hope they like me anyway.
I think so. I think they do. And now people are wondering, how did I get so lucky, like me, getting you on the show? How did I persuade you to come on the show? You got to answer that question.
You know what? I mean, how do you say no to a guy whose nickname in hockey was Suitcase?
Ouch.
Right?
Yikes. Yikes. And he's joining this Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. The only. It's great to have a monopoly on a... Let's get real here. Let's get conceited for a second. Great to have a monopoly on the Sioux for that. It's great sponsors that we have, great friends, and great listeners that we have, and we appreciate everyone coming by, all jokes aside. And, you know, I must state here that with the show... On here on the Boston Pizza and Silver Creek edition of the show, you could say, is where we talk hockey and baseball, and we're going to be bringing in golf on this show. And that's where we're going to be bringing in golf, which completely, obviously, makes sense with that. So then the Wednesday show is going to be mainly in the pocket segment, locally and nationally, with basketball. And then we have variety talk after that. Then Mondays, obviously, we talk local and variety as well. Each show is going to be talking local, as we're going to talk local sports in Sault Ste. Marie and Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. So, Justin, the reason why I jumped into that and I didn't add that to the point of when I introduced the show was because I didn't want to give too much information off the hop. I kind of want to say what the agenda to show and how things are kind of changed in terms of agendas. But this is a good problem for the show in terms of location differences and moving around, because a lot of sponsors are coming on board. A lot of people are interested in being on the team, and we're very glad to have these new sponsors come along, especially with Silver Creek Golf Course that we're going to be going to this Sunday. And that show at Silver Creek is really going to gear on having guests on. And people are asking what guests. Well, I can verify this. On the Silver Creek edition of the Game Sports Show, live on location, we'll be having Matt D'Agostini, Colin Miller, Brett Finley, and Brendan Brooks coming on for the month of July. We also hope to have Brandon Perlini and Brett Perlini on in the month of July or in the beginning of August. I've also been in contact with Paul Maurice in terms of hopefully him coming on home before then to hopefully have him on the show as well. So people are asking about if I'm also going to get Tyler Candy on location. I have reached out to Tyler. We do expect him to be home as well. So we're going to have a lot of live on location interviews at Silver Creek, and we're going to try to get some people over here at Boston Pizza as well, as, you know, since we record the show a little bit later in the day when it comes to our Thursday, it's been difficult getting some guests on. But you know what? With the golf course and Boston Pizza, there'll be either or live on location. So it's going to be exciting going forward, I think, with all this. With a lot of the, let's say, I should clear that up before I slide over. A lot of the clear of these additions on the show.
You know, it's definitely a good problem to have with us. People wanted to listen to us talk that much, I guess. That's, I don't know. Lots of people liking our opinions, and you know what? It's good to get out. It's nice to meet people in the community, all these, different editions, whether we're at Boston Pizza, whether we're at Sports Center.
Or Silver Creek now.
Silver Creek now, or the Wicked Sister, eating those potato things you got me last time.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's crazy. And you know what? It's much appreciated for sure. Like our listeners out there, make sure you share it with a friend, 100%.
People ask all the time if having variety of locations is a bad thing. Absolutely not. And here in Sault Ste. Marie, and you can agree with this, Brad, it's all about connections and words. Okay, it's about having the connection locally in the networking, and having 4 locations now that we're using for the month of July. We'll be back down to 3, but in September we'll be using 3 and 4 again. So you can tell from Sioux today, it's good to have that connection, everyone helping out each other and being able to show our faces in different places, and also being able to be out more in the Sioux, and then the show can continue to grow.
Yeah, it's big being out in the community. I mean, this type of business, it's about people. It's about being involved in the community, and even for my work at Sioux today, it's huge. It's, when you're doing something like this, you want to be out there. You want people to get to know you and, get to understand what you're about. And, the best way to do that is to be out meeting people. For me, it's, I always say it's, it can be a blessing and a curse some days, but I mean, more days than not, it's a blessing to meet people, and you hear different opinions from people, and it's, from my perspective, it's always a good feeling when you have someone you've never met before come up and say how much they enjoy your work, and or how much they enjoy hearing you on the radio and on podcasts and whatnot. So it's a good thing for us to be out in the community and and meeting people and networking, and it's never, like I say, it's never a bad thing.
Definitely not. I know here on the Boston Pizza edition of the show, and Silver Creek, I must add to that as well, we do talk baseball, but today we are going to be saving our baseball talk for Sunday. People are going to be asking about the Renegades update. I can just give you a quick update saying yours truly went 0 for, well, my team says 0 for 3, but the stats say 1 for 3 according to online, so whatever the team wants to go with there. But yours truly had an RBI and a 7th inning rally back from the slugs that made us lose in the 7th inning last night to improve our record to put down our record to 3-2 and drop us into second place in the league. But it was a resilient. Now people are wondering what the Renegades are and what that is. That's the Men's League Open Baseball League that usually I talk about here on the Game Sports Show at the Boston Pizza Opener. And you know what? I like opening with that. It's funny. And now people are asking the updates of my stats. Quite easy. The league says I'm 4 for 9. My team says I'm 3 for 9. I'm going to be nice and say I'm 3 for 9. I'll go with my team stats. I'm not going to go against my team. Always be out for your family, which is a .333 average, 2 RBIs, and 5 stolen bases. And batting leadoff now. Things are really trending down to what the heck is happening there. Seeing the ball? I feel like I might be signing a contract with the Blue Jays pretty soon. Just kidding. But at the end of the day, the baseball we talk about here lots on the Game Sports Show, especially on the local end, and we'll also be talking about the Blue Jays all the time as well. But we're going to be saving our Blue Jays talk and our baseball talk for Sunday at Silver Creek. So, fellas, we're going to dive into something though. Right now, the agenda of the show that I saved until this time. Let me tell you, it's quite obvious. This is why I didn't say it off the hop. It's hockey. It's NHL. It's free agency time. It's free agency chat all around. And I'm seeing this excitement. I wish I could yell right now. I want to scream. But I might want to turn down your volume if I scream, listeners, because I do have a pretty loud voice. But see here at Boston Pizza, I don't want to interrupt anyone's great meal here. It was a great Canada Day. Especially if you're a Toronto Maple Leaf fan.
Did something happen?
Some things happen. And even since then, here on July 6th, we've had some good signings, some teams make some moves. And we're going to talk about, for as long as we can here, we only got about an hour or so on the show, so we're going to talk about everything that we can here. Then on Sunday, we'll touch on some other hockey things, along with touching on stuff that we've already talked about, obviously, just to give more input on that. So, fellas, we're going to dive right into just some news in terms of hockey. Then we're going to take a quick break and come back to it, okay? Now, the things we're going to jump into right now is some of the big signings that went down. Okay, number 1, the big fish. I got a smile on my face, and Brad sees it right now. The big fish.
Paul Stastny?
Paul Stastny. No, was it Nick Seeler? Just kidding. Sorry, Nick Seeler.
Josh Juris?
Josh Juris. No, it was Johnny Tavares signing a 7-year, $77 million contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and let me tell you, that's $11 million cap hit, and I'm loving that. So that's one signing we're going to touch on. We're going to touch on Mike Green re-signing to the Detroit Red Wings. Quite surprised on that, to be honest. I am a little bit surprised. Jack Johnson going to Pittsburgh. I really like this signing. Justin, you and I talked about it. Paul Stastny to Vegas. He signs there for $6.5 cap hit for 3 years. Tomas Plekanec goes back to Montreal. Oh my God, Montreal. Tyler Bozak, 3 years, $15 million to the St. Louis Blues. $5 million for Bozak. JVR, $7 million a year goes to the Philadelphia Flyers. I think that's a bullet Toronto might have dodged there. $35 million for 5 years. You had James Neal, also a day after, go to the Calgary Flames. Ian Cole to the Colorado Avalanche. You had Thomas Hickey re-up with the New York Islanders. Calvin DeHaan going over to the Carolina Hurricanes. David Perron returning to St. Louis on a 4-year, $4 million cap hit, so $16 million, like I said, to St. Louis. You have Chris Kunitz going to Chicago. Michael Grabner going to Arizona, and that was on 3 years, $3.35 a year. You have also Matt Cullen, who's staying in the league, 1 year, $650K to go to Pittsburgh. You have
Leo Komarov going to the New York Islanders on a $3 million cap hit for 4 years. Sven Varchi stays with the Vancouver Canucks. Riley Nash going to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Roman Polak, Dallas Stars. You have Joel Thornton re-upping with San Jose Sharks. Thomas Hertl re-upping with the San Jose Sharks. You have Robbie Fabry staying on board with the St. Louis Blues. You have Robin Leonard going over to the New York Islanders. Boone Jenner up in Columbus. You have Jordan Nolan, Sioux product, play with the St. Marie Greyhounds. Jordan Nolan going to the St. Louis Blues. Andreas Athanasiou going to the Detroit Red Wings. Anthony Duclair going to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Trevor Van Riemsdyk, Carolina Hurricanes. You have Matt Nieto re-upping on Colorado. And you have Tyler Ennis signing with the Toronto Maple Leafs, 1 year, $650K. And Ryan Strome re-upping with the Edmonton Oilers. And that's just a bunch of little news that's happened between the first until now. But we're going to jump into just a couple things. And we're not going to jump into the John Tavares thing first. We're going to save that for after the break, Justin, because that's going to take up a lot. We have to go to commercial in just a few minutes here. So the one thing that I kind of want to jump into right now is a few other signings. I'm going to go over to Brad on this one. Detroit Red Wings re-upping Mike Green. Why would Mike stay with the Detroit Red Wings? Let's just flat out ask that right now. I'm not tripping Detroit. Yeah. But if you line up Detroit against Tampa, Toronto, Boston, Philadelphia if you want, sure, Pittsburgh, Washington. These are teams that I feel that are ahead of the Detroit Red Wings at this current time. Was it money or was it fit? What was the thing from Mike Green here that you think made him stay in Detroit?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I mean, from a Red Wings standpoint, I feel like it's, you know, it's a good fit in the sense that, you know, he provides some leadership. They can afford to sit on some young defensemen and maybe let them develop a little more, which is something the Red Wings have always done. Let's face it, you know, the talk is always how the Red Wings over-ripen their prospects. You know, so that's I think an issue there. And you know, for the Red Wings, you bring in a guy like Mike Green. He's a veteran presence.
Former All-Star this year.
Yeah, you know, he's a veteran presence. You know, a guy like Trevor Daley, I think, was great for that organization in the sense that, you know, they brought in some veteran guys, you know, in terms of developing players. You know, and you know, again, it comes down to, you know, being able to keep guys in the minors a little longer. Yeah. You know, for me, I feel like it's a situation where they seriously considered dealing Mike Green at the deadline. There was a lot of talk that he was going to get dealt this year at the deadline, but injuries kind of derailed that.
Do you think he gets dealt this year?
I think he does. I feel like that's a possibility, and I think Mike Green understands that you know, unless they have, you know, a surprisingly good year, there is the possibility. And I think any veteran on a team that's struggling and a team that's trying to rebuild, I think understands that there's the possibility of that happening. You know, again, another guy is Thomas Vanek. Signed in Detroit, and he's another guy that spent a little bit of time in Detroit already. He ends up in Detroit, and that's a situation where, you know, again, they had a very good draft this year. You know, bringing in a guy like Vanek, I think, you know, is a good fit because you have a guy like Zadina coming up. You know, you have a guy like Joe Veleno coming into camp who, you know, is not necessarily, I feel like, is going to make that team, but having Thomas Vanek in camp to work with guys like Veleno and Zadina, that's huge. You have veteran guys like that, and I mean, Vanek's had some success offensively in the league.
And in Detroit, he had a good fit there.
Yeah, you know, so I think Detroit is a good fit for both those guys in terms of Vanek and Mike Green. I think it's a good fit for them. You know, as far as Mike Green's concerned, you know, I feel like that's a situation where he knows that, you know, he knows he's going to go there and he's going to get lots of ice time. You know, he's going to be a top pairing guy. He's going to be a power play guy. He's going to get lots of ice. So, you know what? It's a good fit for him in that sense as well. And, you know, again, it's one of those situations that I could see them moving him at the deadline. And, you know, it's a good situation that if he has a good year, I'm sure there are teams that are, you know, going to be looking at making a run that are going to seriously look at adding a guy like Mike Green.
Absolutely, and sticking with the Detroit Red Wings, this is what I want to do is kind of stick with Detroit, especially for our Michigan listeners who would like to hear from that. One of the analysts, Butch Davis, who does the Detroit Red Wings very carefully, so I don't want to take too much of his thunder, but Jonathan Bernier, going there as well, who had a pretty good turnaround here, $3 million cap hit on $9 million for 3 years. He's a former Toronto Maple Leaf, Justin. You and I are quite familiar with Johnny Bernier, who we thought Toronto brought in prematurely, especially after a good playoff run before that for Reimer, then kind of put Reimer on the back end before that, ruined his confidence, which eventually changed. And some other goalies, like Yaroslav Halak goes to the Boston Bruins. And Antoine Khudobin goes to the Dallas Stars. So a lot of goaltending movement. Cam Ward, Chicago Blackhawks. So the goalies going to be wearing different jerseys. But bringing in Bernier, bringing in Green, bringing in Vanek. Are Detroit, like you said, for sure trying to bring in someone to get those young guys time? Or are they trying to be competitive next year? Which is it's a stupid question of sorts, but really, shouldn't Detroit have the mindset, okay, look, you know what, we don't have up to these guys. Shouldn't we be thinking the R word?
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I really do feel like they're looking ahead. I was a little surprised by the signings on July 1 to an extent, just because, like I said on this show, I didn't expect Mike Green to be a Red Wing this year. But I do like those signings. For the Red Wings, adding Jonathan Bernier actually gives them a good situation in goal, because they've got 2 veteran guys there, which means they can continue. Again, we talk about development and keeping guys in the minors. They can develop goaltenders, and they're in a situation where they've got 2 veteran guys on their bench where, they're not bringing in a rookie that might not be ready to be a backup at the NHL level.
No.
And when we get to trade deadline day, there's a possibility that, Detroit could be moving a goaltender at that time. And again, stockpiling draft picks. This is a team that, they're looking at rebuilding. And guys like Mike Green, guys like Bernier, guys like Vanek, who had a good year in Detroit before. That's a situation where we could be looking at those guys bringing in, I'm not saying these guys are going to bring in first-round picks, but these guys are going to bring you draft picks at the deadline that you can use to build your franchise. And let's face it, this is a Detroit team that had a history of building well through the draft. We maybe haven't seen it quite as much in recent years, but this is a team that still gets it. That's, as in a salary cap era, that's the biggest thing, is you need to build through the draft. You need to build a roster with prospects, and, adding Zadina, adding Veleno, adding Jared McIsaac, who I think is going to be a good fit on the blue line down the road. Adding these guys, and again, adding Mike Green, that potentially, if you decide to keep Mike Green for a couple of years, that's 2 years where you don't have to rush Jared McIsaac to be on your blue line when he's 20 years old. You can wait till he's 22, 23, and then bring him in. Let's face it, that's a Detroit Red Wing way. How many years do we look at that organization where, guys over-ripened in the minors?
Yeah.
And then, let's face it, that's a team that, brought in a first-round pick from Vegas last year for Thomas Tatar. And guess what? That first-round pick turned into Joe Veleno this year. They turned their draft picks into Zadina, who dropped, and Joe Veleno, who was picked with a pick they got in a trade. This
should have been higher.
Yeah, and this is a team that builds right. Were there guys available in the draft that I would have liked them to have taken? Yeah, absolutely. But given the circumstances, you go with what's there. And when Philip Zadina is there at 6 overall, you don't take a defenseman, and we talked about this after the draft. You don't do the Montreal Canadiens thing where you draft on position. You draft on, you don't draft on necessity, you draft on best player available, and Zadina was the best player. Yeah. It's a team that's going to go through building through the draft, and that's the way they need to.
Yeah, and that's, at the end of the day, the Detroit Red Wings did actually have had a pretty good offseason thus far in terms of the draft and signings, and that's one thing I wanted to touch on with the Detroit Red Wings, with Sudaday's own and Detroit fans' own, just kidding, not own, Brad Cochamilio. But Justin, I'm going to go over to you about a couple other things before we go to our break, and that's the St. Louis Blues. Okay, I'm going to touch on St. Louis. The reason why I'm touching on St. Louis, and I'm going to get to Montreal in just a few moments after St. Louis. Okay, so Tyler Bozak and David Perron go to St. Louis. Ryan O'Reilly goes to St. Louis as well. So the St. Louis Blues are making strides to be competitive next year. They move Stastny out, they lose him to trade him to Winnipeg. Stastny ends up going to the Vegas Golden Knights, as I stated. But St. Louis, I think, has made decent improvements. But is it fair to say that maybe $5 million for Bozak is a little bit high? Especially you look at a winger like David Perron, who's only getting $4 million. I know Bozak's a guy who's a face-off specialist, who's been playing with good hockey players in Toronto, with JVR, with Mitch Marner. Now in St. Louis, he's going to have some pretty good hockey players as well, who have ties with some certain ex-Maple Leafs have been there, like Alexander Steen, who's had some success there. So, did St. Louis overpay for Bozak? And the other thing on Tyler Bozak I want you to comment on is that magnificent article in the Player Tribune. I know you were a fan of that, and if you haven't listened to that article, you have to listen to it. It is absolutely fantastic. He talks about his time when he was at Denver, and then when he signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and then now leaving Toronto, and gives you shivers down your spine for sure. That article, and he had that written. He knew he was going somewhere else a couple months ago. We knew that just while we were talking about him weeks upon weeks ago. So, Justin, your comments on St. Louis in terms of the Tyler Bozak, especially in his article in the Players Tribune.
I mean, just to touch on the article, I don't have to say a lot. If you read the article, you get it. If you're a Leaf fan and you read the article, you get it even more. Tyler Bozak was in that group of Maple Leafs that kind of bridged us through some really shit times. He came in when we were buying into the Brian Burke rebuild, and it was going to happen. Truculence was going to be the thing to get us to the Cup, and it didn't. I mean, and the part of the article where he talks about hanging out with Phil Kessel's dog, watching Game 7, and having to feel like every other Maple Leaf fan felt watching that, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking reading that, and it's like, wait a minute, I lived through that too, and that was heartbreaking. That's probably the reason I'm going bald, specifically. No other reason. But
Not jeans.
yeah, not anything else other than the Leafs losing to the Boston Bruins in Game 7 in overtime.
2013.
2013.
Yeah, this year that happened too, but not in overtime.
But seriously, to me, I think that that kind of solidifies Tyler Bozak as one of the Maple Leaf fan favorites. He spent a substantial amount of time with the team, and I'm happy for him to sign a deal like that in St. Louis. It wasn't a substantial raise over what he was getting paid in Toronto. I believe in Toronto he was at 4.5. So yeah, it's not even $1 million raise.
Still pretty, yeah.
I think that was the market. That's all it is. That's what the market is. And to be completely honest, if you see what Bozak did with Phil Kessel or did with any other skilled winger he played with, you know that he's probably going to fit well with Tarasenko. You know that that's an asset.
If he plays with them.
I bet you he will. Power play, at the very least. Why wouldn't you? You got a guy that's almost guaranteed to win you the face-off on the power play, and then you got a cannon. So, Figure it out.
See, and the big thing with St. Louis is, they may have overpaid, but they're trying to get back into the playoff ways. Okay, and they got some guys who are ready to win now. They got a pretty good D-line. Speaking of D-line, though, a team that's not getting a lot of the shakes right now is the Montreal Canadiens. And the Montreal Canadiens found out yesterday that Shea Weber is out 5-6. People are even saying that imagine if he retires. That's not even a funny joke because that could happen, which would be absolutely absurd if that did because of that trade with PK Subban. But the Montreal Canadiens re-signed Tomas Buchanan. I know you were a fan of Buchanan. Yours truly was more of a fan of him moving on, especially for the money that he was probably going to get. And with that, he did get 2.25, which is a decent amount, actually, that the Montreal Canadiens are paying for him to go back to Montreal. But did the Canadiens strike the unlucky charm? They're on the side of now a goaltender who is one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league. And they have a team that's not competitive. Let's be honest. They have a center ice position that is being led right now by projected Max Domi, who they're projecting to put at center now, who's a naturally a winger, who's played some center, but he's naturally a winger. They don't have that true number one center. They didn't get Paul Stastny. They didn't get Ryan O'Reilly. They re-signed Tomas Buchanan. They have Paul Byron there. You have Max Pacioretty, who is pretty much next to being traded, next in line.
The only guy who's untouchable is Carey Price, and I feel bad for him because as a goalie is in his prime. And if he is not untouchable, like you're saying, Justin, then I hope that is the case. But Montreal should consider, I think, moving Carey Price. That's the whole point of me saying that. I think you got to move Carey Price because he's high value. I think there's teams that would love to have him. I think all 31 teams would love to have him. Actually,
every team in the league. There's no question about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
You absolutely, and I mean that's as far as I'm concerned with the position. If I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan, or even to take an example, if Carey Price was on the Detroit Red Wings and the Red Wings were in the situation that Montreal's in, I look at the Red Wings situation and I'm pretty comfortable with the way it is as a Red Wing fan.
Yep.
If Carey Price was on the Detroit Red Wings and the Detroit Red Wings were in what Montreal is in right now, I would like. I'm asking, how do you not move him? Like, I get it. Like, you know, I get that he's your franchise, but how do you not move him at this point? You know, he's going to get you at least one or two high-end prospects and a handful of very high draft picks.
Yep.
You know, he's one of the few guys in the league that could potentially bring you multiple first-round picks.
Multiple.
How do you not take advantage of that to rebuild? And I mean, that's, you know, like I mentioned earlier, with the Red Wings signing Mike Green, I feel like part of their consideration was the fact that if he has another good year, you look at moving him at the deadline, and you're probably getting a couple of decent picks and maybe an average prospect for him. You're putting yourself in a better position 3 years from now by signing him this year.
Yep. You absolutely are. And the thing is, why wouldn't Philadelphia be knocking on Montreal's door for Carey Price if they want to be so competitive? You got Sean Couturier there, that I know who had 76 points this year. But you know what? There's a guy that you can move, and they have a lot of good prospects. You know what? There's a team there. There's the New York Islanders are another team that apparently want to be good in terms of make a run. And apparently, what I mean by apparently want to be good, but I shouldn't say it that way. But I mean apparently that want to make a run into the playoffs. Why not go that route? Carey Price can attract a lot of talent, obviously, and I think the best team to be able to do that is the Philadelphia Flyers. I really think they could. They have low cap space, don't get me wrong, but you can move out cap, and they have good prospects in the system. And I feel that, you know, the Philadelphia Flyers are a team that is trying to compete in an Eastern Conference that's very competitive right now, and that might even get more competitive, especially if rumors of Erik Karlsson going to the Tampa Bay Lightning, and we're going to get to that after break if that is all true. So at the end of the day, Montreal is, as I said to Justin a few moments ago, they're on the south side, and they got to completely rebuild, and I think they got to take an approach of tearing it all down, but I don't think it should be Bergevin doing it. I'm a true believer, if you're a new GM, you go in and tear the team and build your own. What did Toronto do? They cleared out guys and they moved out guys. They kept a few guys that they wanted to keep, but I think you should be a guy, if Montreal wants to consider a rebuild, you tap Bergevin on the thing and said, okay, look, we won't fire you. We're in demote you, though. No. Or do you completely remove him out? If they want to keep him that bad, because if they want to keep their francophone, or the francophone, if they want to keep him Montreal or French speaking.
Do you want to win games, or do you want to keep people happy? Because really, that's
win
a decision.
Games.
That's a decision ownership needs to make. Or is ownership just happy keeping this as their toy thing that they have on a shelf? Honestly, that's a question you have to ask yourself. Because what was the teacher's pension plan doing with the Toronto Maple Leafs until Bell Media and Rogers Media got an ownership stake in it and did something?
Yeah.
You know, the Montreal Canadiens are one of those teams, like, you know, the Dallas Cowboys, the Toronto Maple Leafs. You put that logo on anything, people are going to buy it. It's going to sell. So, you know, you're content taking in those royalties. And as long as you have Carey Price on your roster, you're guaranteed to sell at least one jersey. So, until ownership decides that they seriously want to win and realize that there's a gigantic disconnect between the players and the coaching and the front office, because really you have to burn that all down, just like Toronto did. Like, hire Peter Horachek to be that guy again for 8 months, to have the most miserable 8 months of his life, and just pay him a bunch of money to go away. Like, you need to tell Bergevin to go away. He's done nothing but bury that team. he's like some guy that wins the lottery, spends it all at the casino, and then wants pity because he's broke. It's not the way it works.
He's out of Shea Weber now, who's out for basically until December, January. You have Max Pacioretty on the trading block. You have Carey Price on the on the trading block. Essentially, they're not shopping them, but they're listening to offers, and they're on. Like I said, Montreal fans never thought I'd be talking about Montreal in this kind of way, but tear it down because I really feel bad for you because I've been there as a Toronto fan.
I feel like most teams are probably waiting to see what Montreal's going to do. If they shake it up as a GM and coaching level, and then you've kind of got them by the cojones, and you can make a better deal. Like right now, he's probably asking top dollar for Pacioretty, probably asking top dollar for absolutely everything.
And absolutely asking top dollar for Price.
The only thing Montreal's done good in even the last year is probably that Joel Armia trade, and he filed for salary arbitration.
Definitely rough time being a Montreal fan, and in this first part, we touch on the signings, we touch on the Detroit Red Wings and the Montreal Canadiens for the most part here on the Game Sports Show. But, fellas, one thing I did want to touch on before we go to break, before we come back and talk about some more signings here. Dave McKagan alongside Justin Eichel and Brad Cochamilio live on location at the Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. And fun fact, Jack Eichel wants to change his number. Did you guys hear about that?
Well, he is the general manager, so he can do what he wants.
He wants to change his number this year. Now, I first read this on Google, okay, or social media is the good way, but he wants to wear number 9. He is changing number 15 to number 9. Breaking news for the Game Sports Show, we can call it that. For the 2018-2019 year, he's going to wear number 9 for the Buffalo Sabres. So, now, one thing I want to ask you guys, if I'm him, people buy Eichel jerseys and shirts. Shouldn't he, out of respect, be like, anyone who bought my jersey or shirt, I'll change the press on your jersey for you?
No.
You wouldn't do that?
No. Like, what other Buffalo jerseys are selling right now? Everyone's already got a Tyler Ennis jersey. So now you got to get O'Reilly's out of town. So now, guess what? Now Tyler Ennis is going to change his number and you got to get a new jersey.
You were 63. You're going to have that in Toronto.
How many people are going 63? Out right now and grabbing up Rasmus Dahlin jerseys? You know, you can't tell me that's not some sort of gimmick. That's like a cropped up Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment kind of gimmick when JVR went from
21 to 25. Jack Eichel making his statements known in the National Hockey League. Coach, GM, and president of the Buffalo Sabres. Just kidding. Never lived that down. Guy got Dan Biles on fire.
Hey, Dan Biles was speaking to the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah, another great
That's a great hire.
Hey, Jeff Blashill, if he has a bad year, I feel bad because he's going to get moved over and then slide Dan over to the left.
Just
slide left or right, whatever way he's going to be sliding. Just literally just slide there. Stanley Cup champion, the Pittsburgh Penguins, assistant coach now of the Detroit Red Wings. But fellas, we're going to take a quick break here. It's Dave McKagan, as I said, alongside Justin Eichel and Brad Cochamilio, live on location at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. When we come back, we've got some more hockey talk, and we're going to sincerely, officially dive in to somebody wearing number 91 with the Toronto Maple Leafs this upcoming season. And we're talking about the other.
Fedorov signed in Toronto?
Yeah, Sergei Fedorov. Yeah, and what else wears 91? Why am I drawing a blank right now? Joe Sakic's Olympic jersey's 91, I think. With that, I can't think of the top of my head else what other numbers 91. But we're going to come back from our break, and we're going to talk more NHL signings here on the Game Sports Show. So make sure you don't go anywhere, because that'd be foolish.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional home to the Game Sports Show, Canadian franchise Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, located on 601 Great Northern Road, Sault Ste. Marie. Come in and join Boston Pizza for its numerous specials that are offered. After 9 p.m. daily, come in to Boston Pizza for $9 schooners, $4 rail drinks, and delicious food. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, you're among friends.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto. We understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsioux.as.me-. The Salon, making the Sioux beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Superior Pro Shop. The Superior Pro Shop, located inside the Community First Credit Union Superior Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. Superior Pro Shop, for over 40 years, meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful, new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today.
Thank you for tuning in to the Game Sports Show, broadcasting Thursday nights from Boston Pizza in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and online at thegamesportshow.podbean.com. I hope you're enjoying the broadcast. Now, if you want to hear more of the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national talk show involving the world of sports, I encourage you to visit our website, thegamesportshow.com. There you can hear a couple other broadcasts of the Game Sports Show. Monday nights, we do the game from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street in downtown Sioux, Michigan, 6 to 7 o'clock on the radio. WUPN, Eagle 95.1 locally or online at radioeaglesioux.com. Now, the full 2-hour show can be heard on the podcast page of the game at thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or you can go to our YouTube channel. Just look for Scott Nason. In that one, as yours truly, along with Dave McKeag and our weekly contributors, Butch Davis from the Telegram News and Butch on Sports, along with EJ Russell on the Team Wireless Hot Seat. We focus on local, regional, and national sports, including high school basketball and hockey, junior hockey, Laker athletics, and the Detroit sports scene. And Mr. Electric Avenue Dave McKeag also broadcasts a show on Wednesday night from Sports Center Bar and Grill in Sioux, Ontario, along with his regular contributors Jamie Antonello, Justin Heichel, and Dane Hantro. They focus on football with their In the Pocket segment, talking about the NFL along with basketball and the NBA and other sports, including tennis, golf, soccer, and the WWE. Once again, you can hear all 3 versions of the game at our website, thegamesportshow.com, or our podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. You can also find us on YouTube. Just look for the Scott Nason channel. And thank you for listening, and keep it locked here to the game for all your local, regional, and national sports talk that you just can't get enough of.
Get Wicked Catering from the crew at the Wicked Sister.
We like to think of ourselves as foodies. While our favorite foods are paired with a beer tasting at the Wicked Sister, you can now have the same creative menu for your next catered business luncheon, family get-together, wedding, or holiday party. Our white truffle risotto appeals to your gluten-free and vegetarian guests. Add sautéed shrimp or freshly grilled chicken for a pop of protein. Or let us build you a custom menu to suit your needs. From plated events of 15 to buffets for 200, the Wicked Sister will cater your event with tapas, snacks, cravables, or a full sit-down dinner.
The Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sports Center Bar and Grill. Sports Center Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sports Center rated top sports bar for the 2nd year in a row. At Sports Center, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sports Center Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar.
Check out our brand new website, up and running now at thegamesportshow.com. There you can find past broadcasts of all our shows from the Wicked Sister in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, and Boston Pizza and Sports Center Bar and Grill in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. As well, you can find our brand new t-shirts available for just $25 a shirt. All sizes are available, and proceeds will go towards Northern Critters in Need and Big Brother, Big Sister of Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Now you can purchase the shirt by emailing thegamesportshowssm@gmail.com GameSportsShop.com. Please state the total amount of shirts and size needed. They have payment options available, e-transfer, or cash upon delivery, as a shirt can be delivered to your location if you live in the Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, and Ontario area, free of charge. TheGameSportsShow.com, where you find all your local, regional, and national sports that you just can't get enough of.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. It is yours truly, David McKeag, alongside the one and only Justin Heichel and the absolutely one and only Brad Conchamelio from SuitToday.com. And I must give a shout out to Scott Nason, our board operator tonight, doing a fantastic. He's the producer in the ear and telling me to keep me level-headed and telling me to keep things as precise and as entertaining as possible as I try here on the Game Sports Show. I must give a shout out to the Boston Pizza staff, the bringer of beer, Mitch Wilson and Aaron Grisdak and Sarah, and everyone just doing a fantastic here at Boston Pizza as always, and to you, the listeners, for being a part of the Game Sports Show here on your Friday night, going into the weekend. And I must brag, because yours truly is on holidays from work. On holidays.
I am too, Paul.
I am off work, and I am off until July the 15th, and it's going to be a nice week as I hear coming up to it. I'm going to be suntan. I'm going to be swimming. I'm going to be boozing. I'm gonna booze, and that's the Molson products, that's with the Northern Superior products, that's with the Jack Daniel products as well. I'm gonna mix it all together and just absolutely enjoy myself and listen to my theme song for sure before I do that. For not my theme song, it's not one of my favorites, but it's one of my top 10 favorite songs, Sundays by Florida Georgia Line. The reason why I like that tune is because I feel like it suits me because of not one specific part that I can't mention on radio, but the other part about drinking your flip-flops on and putting JD in your Coke. That's what I like to hear. That's my kind of tunage right there. Getting a little excited here on the. You're gonna keep everything entertaining as possible as we're here at Boston Pizza. And yeah, everyone's still asking about how the agenda is going to be, as I'm sure some of the clarity is still being a little bit miscued, but let me tell you that between Thursday and Sunday we're either at Boston Pizza or Silver Creek, and then every Monday is Wicked Sister, and every Wednesday is Sports Center Bar and Grill. So let's just keep it as simple as that. Fellas, we were talking about the NHL signings, and we talked about a few. We touched on the Detroit Red Wings, though. Before we went to break in, the Montreal Canadiens, along with some other sides. We kind of rhymed off a bunch of the signings as well. But we saved the meat and potatoes of the signings for right meow. Right meow. Meow, M-E-O-W. Justin knows that sound. Meow. He now knows the sound of Ruff Ruff, a dog from Northern Critters in Need. But anyways, Justin, the Toronto Maple Leafs have signed number 91, John Tavares. John Tavares has joined the Toronto Maple Leafs along with Tyler Ennis and Josh Joris, but we're not going to talk about those other two. We're going to talk about John Tavares right now. John Tavares, I woke up on Canada Day, July 1st, with my Canada Day gear ready to wear because I was going out to absolutely drink that afternoon, as everyone did here in Canada.
Absolutely drink.
And just like they do on Independence Day in the United States for the birth of the United States. To get ready to drink, and I had my Canada Day outfit ready, and I woke up in the morning and enjoyed a nice quick glass of water because I knew that was probably the only water I was going to have, and I opened up a nice Molson Canadian and had a Northern Superior there ready to grab as well, so I had a couple of things I was ready to grab, and I put on the television as I slept in until about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and it was 11 o'clock, I lied, it was 11 o'clock, and they were talking about John Tavares on the pre-show, and they're talking about things, and as soon as they went in on noon, James Duthie of TSN, I'll say I was watching both Sportsnet and TSN back and forth, and James jumped in and said, hey, the front runner it seems to be is the Toronto Maple Leafs. I was in my apartment and almost screamed so loud that I think my neighbors probably almost called 911 because I was yelling bloody murder of pure excitement, because this is the kind of signing that's the biggest signing in Toronto Maple Leaf history. This is arguably, by far, the biggest signing. And they signed a franchise centerman who has left the New York Islanders and come home to Toronto. And I get excited because, yes, it's the Toronto Maple Leafs, being a Toronto fan. Him joining it and just solidifying one of the best forward cores already in the league, was the top 5 in the NHL in scoring as it was, and adding him to that roster. And all those stories, people said that John Tavares was not going to go to Toronto. An analyst on the show who's good friends with somebody who's best friends with Tavares said that Tavares would never go to Toronto. That's what he said John told him. Yeah, no. You're wrong. Your sources are John obviously lied to you because that is completely incorrect. The guy grew up a Toronto Maple Leaf fan. He wants to win now. I give kudos to Dubas, kudos to Babcock and Shanahan going in there and giving probably the pitch of a lifetime. Just like when Lamoriello and Shanahan and whatnot gave a pitch to Mike Babcock to come here. Whatever pitch they used then, they used there. So I'll tell you right now, Toronto has a great forward core, and they signed the John Tavares, but obviously defense is still in question, but we're not going to jump into that right now. Justin, John Tavares, joining the Toronto Maple Leafs. I want some roundtable reaction from you and Brad. I'll go to you first, my friend, because I know you share that extra little bit of excitement that Johnny T is wearing the blue and white.
The Golden State Maple Leafs.
Wow.
You
can hear Wednesday's show of the Game Sports Show how I bashed Golden State again, but that's fine.
Yeah, all right. That's bash away. But, I mean, like really, we got lines 1A and 1B right now. I don't want to sound ridiculously cocky, but on paper it looks fantastic. No one's ever won on paper, to be honest. But like right now it looks spectacular. We'll have to see come training camp who comes out, what we're looking at line-wise. Stuff like that, see how people are playing together, see how people are gelling together. From a like fantasy hockey and our brains perspective, though, it's pretty right on. I mean, I was in No Frills checking out the fresh produce, and all of a sudden my phone went crazy.
It was me calling
I got a call from you, I got a call from my dad, I got a call from a couple people, and text messages, and like, I'm trying to get the tomatoes, trying to understand the John Tavares situation and not lose it in the middle of No Frills.
I would have exploded there, I think. I would have said, hell yeah!
Like, standing in line, waiting to get out of the store, there's a trillion people. It's Sunday at No Frills. If you've ever lived in Sault Ste. Marie in your life, you know what that's all about.
Yep.
It was a bad decision that I made to go there.
On a free agent day, too. Come on.
I needed snacks.
Max Mart.
The next day, like you have to go. You have to do your groceries.
You have to go, even if you don't need anything. Like it's a Canadian thing to do. If it's a holiday the next day, even if you don't need anything, you go to the grocery store and spend $40 just to be in line with the rest of the city.
Didn't want to get up at 8 o'clock to go away. Like every other Italian.
No.
No way.
Not a chance.
What were you doing? What were you doing at 8 a.m.? Sleeping.
Man, listen, I was a kid working a part-time job once. I know that the grocery store kids have been out drinking all weekend. They're not putting the fresh produce out until at least noon once they get a Lunchable or two into them, alright? So...
Not bad. I'll give you that.
I go when the produce is fresh.
Yeah. Johnny T signs for 7 years.
And apparently when John Tavares signs a mega deal with Toronto.
Legit mega deal.
With the most signing bonus I've ever seen.
Yeah, base salary of $690, but $15 million in signing bonus. We're going to go to Brad about just a few moments to really dissect that signing, but just your overall reaction about 7 years, $77 million, cap hit of 11 for a guy that is arguably top 3 centers in the league? Is that fair?
As a Leaf and a Colts fan, I'm not used to things going well. So, like it's been a long week of like expecting the news to just be a joke, and this to be some sort of ruse where the Leafs signed him and then traded him back to the Islanders or something.
That's what you were expecting. Brad, over to you about what this does to the Toronto Maple Leafs organization as a whole.
Yeah, I mean it's huge. Let's face facts. I mean, as much as I joke around about, I like 2 teams, the Detroit Red Wings and whoever the Leafs are playing. As much as I make that joke, like this is a big signing for that franchise, and again, it's huge for Kyle Dubas too. Like,
absolutely.
We're looking at this from the team perspective, but for Kyle Dubas, for his first real signing, to go out and make a splash like that is massive.
Absolutely massive.
And I mean, it's so huge. I mean, and it's a weirdly set up deal in the sense that like his base salary between now and 2025 is never over $910,000. His base salary is under $1 million, but his signing bonuses are $7 million plus, and you have to think he's going to hit every signing bonus.
Yeah.
And I mean, I laugh now because, and I talked earlier about, you know, having discussions with people and having people who maybe don't get it. I had a discussion with someone in a similar setting to this. I won't mention the place, but it wasn't a sports bar, locally, who was a Boston Bruins fan. And this conversation happened about a year and a half ago. Who was throwing David Krejci under the bus. Now, David Krejci, very productive pro player. Okay? And this ties into John Tavares.
Yeah.
Because at that time, David Krejci was making John Tavares type money. And this guy was telling me that David Krejci should be as good as John Tavares. When I asked him why...
Was he smoking? Did you ask him that too?
I feel like that was the case.
Yeah.
Because his argument was because David Krejci and John Tavares' contracts were so similar as far as dollar value that David Krejci must be as good as John Tavares. And if for our listeners, if people could see the look on David's face, it is as confused as it should be.
Yeah.
Because I tried to reason with this guy that, you know, essentially it was Boston overpaying David Krejci.
What's he, 6, 7? I think he's almost at 7, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it was basically a situation where David Krejci had one very good year, and he's getting paid because of it. Yep. John Tavares is a point-a-game player minimum at the NHL level. You know, he's been a point-a-game guy in a very bad Islanders franchise. You know, like, this is a guy who, you put him on a good team, he is a massive impact player. He's an impact player in a terrible team, let alone a good team. You know, so a signing like this for the Toronto Maple Leafs is absolutely massive. You know, I'm going to be curious to see how this franchise juggles the entry-level contracts that are coming up and restricted free agency issues of, you know, Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews. But, you know, even from, you know, someone who's not a Leaf observer by any means, I look at it and knowing Kyle Dubas and knowing that organization and the way they're set up, that is not going to be an issue. You know, they're going to find a way. Kyle Dubas and his staff are going to find a way to keep as much of that core together as possible. My biggest worry for the Toronto Maple Leafs right now is whether they can get better defensively. And this is a team that didn't give up compared to a lot of other teams, didn't give up a lot of goals last year. I mean, I think they were at like 230, give or take. You know, which was pretty average around the league. But this was a team that even though they were average as far as goals against, they were very high for shots against. I'm sure Freddie Anderson probably has nightmares right now about how much rubber he faced at times. And that's a team that I find is going to need to cut down the shot totals. And I mean, I get it. We talked about this off air, the idea that some goaltenders thrive on facing more shots. Let's face it, Roberto Luongo made a career out of facing a ton of shots.
Yep.
But I feel like to win hockey games when it matters, you need to be better in terms of shots against. I mean, that's, you know, and that's just my opinion. I mean, right or wrong, indifferent. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, for me, I feel like that's going to be the biggest thing. And I'm not saying that they need to go out and get, you know, like a Drew Doughty, but
no.
I mean, they need to go out and get, you know, just a good, you know, maybe a couple of good defensive defensemen, you know, guys that are 3-4 guys, you know, guys that you can put out there late in games. And, you know, it could be a situation where you just get better as a team defensively too. And you know what? Maybe John Tavares helps that situation. I don't know. I'm going to be very interested to see how this shakes down in the sense that, you know, is this team going to be better in terms of the amount of shots they give up? Because in all honesty, for me, if I'm looking at this team right now, that's my only concern. You know, this is a team that's never going to have an issue scoring goals.
No.
You know, and even before signing Tavares, this is a team that's not going to have a lot of issues scoring goals. You add Tavares to that mix, and this team's great offensively. You know, and I mean, this is a team that, you know, is going to make some noise without a doubt in the next couple of years. Without a doubt, like, this team got markedly better just with John Tavares. You know, I mean, I would be more comfortable if they added a good defensive defenseman or two, but, you know, this is a team that I mean, for all intents and purposes, should make at least a little bit of a playoff run next year.
Definitely the word on the street is expectantly, depending on what happens in Tampa Bay, obviously. We could see Toronto at least get into a second round appearance, but we're not going to get into playoff discussions really right now. As you know, Toronto has even now cracked the top 10, I believe, in odds to win the Stanley Cup, I think, next year. I think they're in the top 10, if not the top 5 right now to be Cup favorites next year. But, Justin, your overall reaction, and echo what Brad said, like the defensive thing is a big issue, but we'll jump into that in just a few moments. Just going to let you discuss what Brad said, touch on what he said, what you feel, and some of your comments. I know you wanted to butt in a few times there.
Oh, I mean, like, just the Anderson thing. He was. Does he see a lot of shots? Yes. But he was vocal after every game this year that he wanted to see every single one of those shots.
That's it.
He would rather see the shot than have his defenseman or whoever else block the shot. So, to that extent, I mean, I see where Brad's coming from, and I know that that's not the point that I should be basing my argument on. But it's finding that balance, too. And there's a young core there where they're trying to... Anderson had the luxury of playing in Anaheim, where like, defensively they've been
they did sound
pretty rock solid for a very long time. So, and coming to Toronto, there's a bit of an adjustment period doing that. But I don't know, it's going to be interesting. I think, per se, what we were just spitballing earlier and saying, with the Justin Falk transaction with Carolina that's being tossed around. You bring in Justin Falk, you throw him on your top pairing, you bump Ron Hainsey down to the third, and your third pairing is pretty rock solid with Ron Hainsey featuring whomever down there.
Would it be Travis Dermott?
You'd probably think it's Travis Dermott because Zaitsev and Jake Gardiner are your second, and then you'd be looking at Morgan Riley and Justin Falk as your first. I know you shudder at Jake Gardiner, but I'm telling you for free, he's in a contract year this year. Having Jake Gardiner on that back end, you're going to see a totally different guy. He's going to play like a lunatic, but this is the year where maybe we need to do something and hope that... I don't see us re-signing him. I don't, unless he wants to be there in some sort of discount. But he's going to play his nuts off this year. You know that he's going to do that. Like,
it's not even the fact of Gardner's making me crazy. Even Zaitsev. After his year last year, that was a bad year by Zaitsev.
Like, who else? Like, is it... Carrick as well is there, right?
Yeah, he's going to be the 7th defenseman.
And he's 1 year.
And good Justin Holl. He's going to get a look at, too, with the Marlies, man. That guy has to get a look at.
There's some guys there. And don't forget, like, we've got Timothy Liljegren coming up.
Yeah, and then Andrew Nielsen, too.
And so, like, these guys on expiring contracts this year, I feel like there's a method to the madness.
I think there is.
Well. Yeah. And you freaking out about Jake Gardiner, I'm going to beat you to death before the end of this hockey season. We're gonna have a fisticuffs in the parking lot, I think, before the video.
Want to know something funny? Can I tell you something funny about Jake Gardiner, and you're gonna laugh? So, there's a guy that I played hockey with. His name was Justin Erhardt was his name. I looked on his Instagram story the other day. This is a random thing, but guess who he's playing beanie toss with? Jake Gardiner. And I know Justin. So maybe make it a goal to show that I get a hold of Justin Erhardt, and maybe if I can get a phone interview with Jake Gardiner, him and I can lash out a few things.
Why don't you get me a phone interview with Jake Gardiner so that he'll want to come back on the show?
I think it should be you and Joe Bowen that does that interview. Not me. But anyways, jokes aside, there's a side of Jake Gardiner that I haven't seen in years, and that's the side in 2013 playoff run with the Boston Bruins that I saw him do. And that's the Gardiner I like. That's the Gardiner missing. That's like 5 years ago, man.
That last time he was in a contract year?
Which is this year, ironically enough. Maybe you're right. But back to Justin. Wow, you almost say Justin. John Tavares, number 91. One thing I gotta ask: does he wear the C now? No. Let me read some things here. People are saying that maybe you keep it status quo. You give him an A. You let Matthews probably get an A this year because of Bolzak being gone. JVR, I think, had some time with an A a little bit, but was switched out. Kadri, people saying, talk about, no. You give Matthews an A, Riley an A, and Tavares. And then the other A, you might even throw one on Kadri. I think you throw the other one on Kadri, and I think you go with 4 assists this year. But people are asking you to give Tavares the captaincy. I don't see why not. I really don't see why not. The guy's been a captain on the Islanders. He's a leader of a guy. I don't think Matthews will be too hurt by it at the end of the day.
You gotta let it shake itself out. You can't just bring in a guy and say, all right.
They did to Phaneuf.
Yeah, and look how great that worked out. And he's the most treasured Maple Leaf of all time, Dion Phaneuf. Everyone has something excellent to say about him, but not negative at all.
I like his wife. Wow.
Anyways, moving along. I think you have to let that sort of hierarchy sort itself out amongst the players and the coaches. It's not a decision for the public to make, and I don't really think it's a decision for management to make. Babcock's going to know who the guys in his locker room are that he wants to lead. And is the long-term play to probably have Tavares as the captain? 100%. I'm not denying that it's not. But I think you start the season with him with an A, you keep the A on Morgan Riley, and I honestly believe you give an A to Jake Gardiner.
Oh, my God.
Trust me on this. The guy feeds off responsibility, and he's going to play his heart out for you, whether it works or it doesn't. But I'll fist fight you in the parking lot about that playoff run, and he was the only person playing in the end of Game 7 still. Everyone else was sitting on the bench just...
The Bruins took a Gardiner Expressway the second round. A Zaitsev Gardiner Expressway. Yeah. I'll say plural.
Because he was the only person out there doing anything, he was very exposed to critique.
You ever seen someone get so humiliated on social media, though?
Yeah, and he's still around. Face the music. And he's going to come out next year, and I'm telling you, like, I don't want to make some sort of ludicrous bet, but I'm telling you he's going to have a hell of a season.
We'll have more on Jake Gardiner as the summer goes along, and maybe have him on the show, like I said, if I'm lucky enough to get that contact reached out, because I think that'd be funny. That's like, what would that be an example of in sports? There's been some people who chirp each other. Jake hasn't chirped me once. I don't know if he's for sure known of my existence unless he's listened to the show.
Baseball stats, yeah.
Oh, those great stats. Unless Joe Bowen talked about him to me, or talked to him about me and said, oh, this guy in Sault Ste. Marie talks some grief about you. But just the thing about the Tavares and the potential lines. Okay, we're going to touch a little bit here on the Tavares thing a bit more before we jump into some other signings here. Dave McKeag alongside Justin Heichel and Brad Conchimilio live on location at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. Potential line options here, fellas. Okay. Wouldn't it be more of a sense that John Tavares, if the reports are accurate, and those accurate reports would be as this from Chris Johnson of Sportsnet, states how he sees Marleau playing with Matthews and Nylander, with Hyman playing with Tavares and Marner, and then we'll go through the third line, the fourth line in just a few minutes. I don't even think you want to consider them first, second, third, fourth lines. People say they do, but Babcock doesn't run that system. But that's how Chris Johnson stated that's how Babcock envisions his lines. Now, Tavares, people say, oh, second line center for $11 million. Okay, there's like I said, no second line thing. Tavares and Matthews, if you want to make lines, it's 1A and 1AA. 1AAA and 1AAA. Like I said, they're all 1A
and 1B.
Or 1A and 1B, sure. I like that. Much more simplified. Keep it simple, stupid, sure.
1, 1, and 3.
But I would like to see, I think him playing with Marner is a formality. I think that's a 100% certainty, okay? I think he's basically Bozak's out and Tavares is in. That is what's going through my mind right now. I feel that would make sense. Some people are asking, why doesn't Kadri stay with Marner and Marleau? Yeah, they had a great year. They had a great time together, but they had some times where they slid. You're not bringing in Tavares to play with Connor Brown and Kasperi Kapanen. No offense to those guys. Now, Connor Brown would not be a bad addition. Don't get me wrong. But he's not taking the right side from Mitch Marner. So, and I tell you right now that if you're seeing the lines, I think it would be great to keep Matthews and Nylander together. And I would actually like to see Connor Brown play on his offside there with Matthews. If I had to give you a line, I'd like to see Connor Brown play with Matthews and with William Nylander. Matthews likes to shoot the puck, along with Connor Brown likes to be a workhorse and shoot the puck as well. I feel like that'd be a good line combination. And Brown has actually played his off wing a little bit in Erie. And I think that'd be a good fit, especially for a guy who has some potential upside. Now, I really think that Marner should be playing with John Tavares. I really do like that line. Marner's a good puck-moving guy who can finish, and he's going to give the guy who can shoot the puck, and that's John Tavares, who's a shooting center. Marleau is not afraid to go down low still. Even as AG grinds, and he'll find the puck to Tavares, and he's not afraid to shoot the puck either. So it essentially gives Marner two sniping options as well. And Marner is more of a playmaker, okay, more than he is a sniper. So that's what you have as your 1B or 1A line, whatever you want to commit it as. Then your third line. if you want to go with that. I'm saying that you put in Kadri. Obviously, we're there with Hyman. And I think you definitely have to put, I know Justin will say Janssen, but I'm going to say Kapanen. I'm going to say you're going to put Kapanen on that side. I like the kind of thing with Hyman, Kadri, and Kapanen. I feel like Kapanen showed some touch that he can score and be a strong two-way presence, some energy. And Kadri can lead that line. That's what Kadri likes. He likes to lead. He likes to have that pressure to lead. And what a great year. And Kadri's going to have a lot of time to score points. He's going to be playing on the power play. He's going to be playing a lot of first or second unit power play time. So I think that's your third line center. Or third line, or whatever line you want to call that, because you're not supposed to be calling it lines, but I'm going to keep it simple. And then if you want to go with your fourth line, quote unquote, you have Janssen on there, and you have Tyler Ennis on there. And I know people are saying that Ennis might play center, might play wing. I'm actually going to say he's going to go to the wing, and Ennis will play wing along with Janssen. I think your centerman's going to be Par Lindholm. I think that's the guy they're going to use as their fourth line center, with your secondary forwards being Levo and Josh Joris. I think those are going to be the depth guys. Well, the GOAT is going to be used as trade bait potentially this year, as I feel Toronto's going to either put him in the lineup or move him. As you know, as some teams could come at, as he could be a fourth line center. Don't get me wrong, he's a big guy, a centerman, and he's a former World Junior player, but I think they brought in Par Lindholm to be that guy who's going to be playing on their fourth line, and Josh Joris to rotate in. And like I said, Ennis can rotate in there as well. And I think they should be giving Josh Levo a look. Like I said, I would love to see Levo in the lineup, as I just said, but even if you gave him a chance with Matthews, if you want to put Brown back on that third line with Kadri, I think Levo should be given an opportunity to play. But I think he's worn out his welcome, and he might be used as trade bait as well, or he'll be sitting in the press box for a lot more this year like he did last year. Your D pairings we have to really jump into right now. We know who your goaltending is this year, who's your number one guy. But fellas, I'll let you jump in if you want to chime in on some lines. Did you think of some opinions on what I've just stated? And Brad, I'll go to you first. Do you see, like I said, you see Tavares playing with Marner,
right,
and Marleau and Marner? Wow, Tavares, Marner, Marleau. Let me get that right. Or does it make sense that he plays with Hyman and Marner, or do you think Brown gets a chance to them?
And you know what? I think that's a situation that I think really sorts itself out in training camp. I mean, I get that, it's fun to speculate, and, I think he would be a good fit with a guy like Mitch Marner. I feel like those two on a line together would be a real good fit, but, I mean, it's a situation that sometimes you look at it and you might think they're a good, again, it's the idea of you think they might be a good fit on paper, but, you put them out there and just for whatever reason it doesn't work. So, I think we're going to see a lot of different combinations in training camp and during the exhibition games, and to go back to the captaincy idea, I think that's where it comes in too. Is as far as Tavares being named captain, do I think he's going to be the captain of the Leafs eventually? Yes.
Why doesn't Marleau get it this year? Because there's a guy who's going to have the fourth A as Marleau. That's something we should forget. But why doesn't he get the seat for his last 2 years?
And you know what? I mean, I think he will get strong consideration. The thing with captaincies, my biggest issue is, we make a big deal about guys wearing letters. At the end of the day, the letter doesn't really mean much aside from who can talk to referees on the ice. Sometimes the best leaders are guys that don't have letters on their jerseys. They're just, good guys in the room for whatever reason. And, whether John Tavares wears the C or not, I don't think it's going to be, a big thing. I feel like eventually he will be the captain of that franchise, but whether he has a C, an A, or no letter at all, I don't think it's an issue. You could be a leader without having a letter. So I mean, but it's going to be interesting to see what they decide. I mean, they could go with that idea as well, as far as having multiple guys wearing A's and no one wearing a C. Yep. And to get back to the line combinations. I mean, again, this is a team whose top six forwards are as good as any top six in the league right now. I mean, it's pretty simple. There's a reason that the Stanley Cup odds that come out. And let's face it, it's still very early, but there's a reason this team is a 7-1 favorite to win the Cup this year. They got very good, very quick on July 1st.
Very good, and for someone who's free.
Yeah. So
of sorts.
Yeah.
Of sorts.
So it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to see a lot of line juggling early, just to see who works well with whom. And I feel like there's a lot of possibilities that could be at play.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's even been some consideration of if Babcock will put him on the wing. You're crazy. He's not playing wing unless it's the power play with Matthews and Nylander. Then that gives you a second-line power play, putting Marner, Marlowe, and Kadri back together as well. So, Justin, my lines I stated, any opinions, and even some of your own?
I mean, I honestly think these lines throughout the year are just going to be a living, breathing, changing thing. I don't think there's going to be a definitive set of lines that we roll with all year. And obviously guys are going to step up with injury, and some guys aren't. You know what I mean? Like, there's stuff that happens through an NHL season that's unexpected, that's not accounted for, etc., etc. But I really do think Johnson's earned a spot in the lineup. Like, the kid's a player. Kapanen as well needs a spot in the lineup, or we got to move him out. Levo, I've been killing to just see, give him one shift with Austin Matthews before you do something with him, because he's earned it. He's honestly earned it. Or give him a shift with Tavares now and see what he can do. Now that we're going to be looking at playing this kind of budget hockey with some of our forwards, like, you've got guys to do it, so let's do it.
And the thing is, we could talk about these line combos. It's fun because Leaf Land now is very exciting, but ultimately, they still need to make some additions on that back end. There's changes potentially, and I wouldn't mind one trade, maybe another depth move back there to kind of solidify and let it go from there, and it'll be certainly interesting to see. Now we're going to move from the Toronto side of sports on a couple other free agency and trade tracking news, and we're going to start with the trade tracking side quickly, just because we're talking about defense there before I just wrap up Toronto. Erik Karlsson. Apparently there's confirmation of a close to deal being done with the Tampa Bay Lightning, as was said yesterday, but nothing was announced today. I was trying to keep a close eye on that. But it seems like Karlsson is certainty might be going to Tampa Bay Lightning, and people are asking if that is a possibility. And Lightning only have 4.7 in cap space, so someone with the contract's going the other way. I wonder if it's going to be Cal Foote. I wonder if it's going to be Sergachev, Miguel Sergachev, if he's going to go back. He's going to end up playing for almost being a part of 3 teams in the Atlantic. But, there's going to be a good prospect in that trade, because I don't think Tampa makes that trade unless there's an extension involved. Or if they're just going to make a trade just to have the 1 year out of them to make a cup run, maybe that brings down the price a little bit. But ultimately, I think Tampa Bay will have to trade both Cal Foote and Sergachev, and potentially might have to throw in a Braden Point. People say no, that might be crazy, but that might be in there, because you know who's going to come back the other way too? Bobby Ryan. They want to move out that Bobby Ryan contract as well. So maybe Braden Point's a little bit of a stretch, because Tampa Bay is not massive at center because of Johnson and Stammer being there. But I'm just throwing out some spitball ideas of who could be thrown out. But you got to think Cal Foote and Sergachev are on that block for the Ottawa Senators trying to bring back a defenseman. And let me tell you, the players that are being used in the potential of this trade, I can't believe Tampa would be in that mix. I thought Dallas or Vegas. And I still think if the trade is not done, Dallas can come in, but Vegas has a lot of prospects that can offer up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like Vegas is ever going to be out of the mix. I feel like that's a franchise that's going to look to make a big splash, and with James Neal not re-signing there, that frees up some cap space for them. So that's always going to be a possibility. As far as Karlsson to Tampa, I mean, it looks like it's pretty well, aside from being made official. And I mean, I realize until the trade call goes through with the league, it's not done. But I mean, it looks like it's about as close to done as possible. So it's scary to think. It's scary to think of that Tampa blue line with McDonough, Hedman, and Erik Karlsson.
And if they kept Sergachev somehow.
Yeah, and if you could hold on. And I mean, you know what? Like, when we talk about deals, like, that Tampa franchise is very high on. The Tampa franchise is very high on guys like Boris Katchouk and Taylor Radish, who are very familiar.
Just kidding.
to people in Sault Ste. Marie. So, I mean, those could be guys that are, possibilities in terms of moves as well. So, there's a lot of options. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I feel like, now I feel like Tampa's a front runner, and we'll see how things shake down over the next couple of days.
going to be absolutely interesting for sure as we get ready to get our pizza brought over here at Boston Pizza. As the bringer of beer brought the pizza, and the one and only Justin Heichel is serving out the pizza to the table here, and at our new spot here at Boston Pizza. Well, I should say our new, not a new spot, our new table that we're at here today.
But Justin, I'm going to slide over to you in terms of
Just a Carlson reaction all around if
Tampa Bay is going to be a front runner to get him, how that's going to completely lopside maybe a defensive, scary-looking defensive team in Tampa.
Just on paper,
still not for sure though.
On paper, again, they'd be scary, but they have to stay healthy. So I mean, yeah, you probably have the two best defensemen in the NHL, but you need them to play full seasons. And Hedman's been better at that as of late, but Carlson's been relatively injury prone. And as far as, talking about making this deal work out, there has to be another team.
Yeah.
There has to, like the Callahan to the Rangers thing being tossed around again. Vegas
Callahan's making 5, so
Vegas being involved. I don't know. Until this happens, I'm not really going to believe anything I read.
No. Like that. Jumping back into some of the free
agency signings, we've got some more signings we'll jump into before we
end up concluding tonight's show here at Boston Pizza. Sault Ste. Marie on this Friday night.
I want to, jump into a signing that's, well, a few signings, obviously, but I guess you can say some that may have been pretty high or may have been good fits. I want to talk about JVR. Former Toronto Maple Leaf, scored 30-plus this year,
just under 40 this year. Career season. 5 years, $35 million contract, $7 million cap hit.
Now, loved his services in Toronto. Going back to Philly, I'm not quite surprised, to be honest, but I really thought maybe another team would pay him this much. I didn't think Philly would be able to pay him this much because of some players that they're going to have to sign and do some things. But Philly is in the mode of winning now, and they know the player that they're getting. And now with having a power play that has a chance of having the first unit of a Wayne Simmons, and yes, I'm putting JVR on a second unit or even another first unit of JVR in front. There's nobody better in front of the net except JVR and Wayne Simmons. So I'm telling you right now, Philadelphia made a great move here bringing him in, but I think it was still too high of a price. Evander Kane's making about that in San Jose, and that would even scare me, but his talent is great, but his attitude in the locker room is another ballgame. JVR is a great classy guy. He's passionate about the game of hockey, and he loves Philadelphia. We got him for Luke Shen, and then Luke Shen's now playing he's been bouncing around in California, and he's been in the desert. He's been bouncing around. So, essentially, is a trade that Toronto got for somebody who was one of the top forwards for the last 6+ years. So, kudos and congratulations to him and Simon Toronto. But I think $7 million is still too high of a contract. Justin,
way too much.
It's the price, though. The market. There's no one else out there. There's James Van Riemsdyk, who's going to get paid based on recent performance, i.e. the last 30 games of the season. What else is out there at winger? Vanek? James Neal? James Neal was going to command a fortune, and you know that has to die off sooner or later. James Van Riemsdyk still has some uphill on him. I think James Neal is more so on the downhill now. I'm not trying to say anything negative towards James Neal, and I really like the James Neal signing in Calgary. But if you're going to pay that amount of money to a player, I'd rather pay a little more to James Van Riemsdyk and get a couple more years out of him, especially in a familiar environment. Bringing him back to a locker room with some of the guys that maybe were still in his draft class, or that he fits the Philadelphia style of hockey. It was kind of a no-brainer.
James Neal goes to Calgary on a 5.75 cap hit, where JVR goes for 7. You're right about the age. James Neal Cup final, JVR not Cup final. Playoff success, James Neal. JVR wasn't too successful in the playoffs. I'll just have to say that close signing. If I was James Neal, I would have used as a measuring stick in my contract.
Put the rosters side by side.
Vegas and Toronto.
Or James Neal in Pittsburgh.
That too.
Put James Van Riemsdyk on the Pittsburgh Penguins.
That almost happened. That was almost a thing.
Yeah, and look how Phil Kessel's fared.
Should have been a Conn Smythe that 1 year that they lost to San Jose. What the year against San Jose was 2016, and that's sorry, Crosby, but moving on to another. Actually, forget myself here. Your reaction on JVR, actually, Brad. I'd like to get your take, being on the stats side, about if that is too high for him.
Yeah, I feel, I feel like that is, it is a little steep for my liking. I mean, I like his game a lot. I mean, you talked about the comparison to Evander Kane. It's almost a shame that you couldn't kind of clone them into one person, where you have Evander Kane's talent with JVR's personality. I think that would be a heck of a player, and size. I think that would be a heck of a player at the NHL level. I mean, I like JVR's game. If the Red Wings were competitive, he's a guy that I would love to have in Detroit. But not at that price. I mean, I feel like that's a little too rich for my blood for the type of game he plays. I feel like, I feel like they could have got him a little cheaper. But, I mean, you know what? Again, market value. Sometimes the market fluctuates, or teams are willing to, overpay a guy. And who knows? There could have been a bidding war for him as well.
Well, there was. You had to think there was.
There could have been a bidding war that drove up the price, right? And, if that's the case, you can't blame JVR for saying, well, I've got a team that's willing to offer me, 5.5, and then going to another team and saying, well, I've got a team that's willing to offer me. And I'm not saying that was the case, but, you use that to your advantage if there are multiple teams that want your services.
Definitely multiple, and there's a player that had multiple offers as well that we're going to jump into right now. Paul Stastny. 3 years, making $6.5 per with the Las Vegas Golden Knights for Stanley Cup Finals. Pretty much replacing up front. They lost James Neal and David Perron, two wingers. They're adding a centerman there. But they do have some good depth on that team, obviously, being the first in the league. The most points by the expansion team, most road wins by the expansion team, and just the most wins in general, 51. So, I got to say, I like this signing. Is it steep? Yes. I think that's another steep price. These are teams that are really digging into their pockets to buy players, and that's what I never thought I'd be quoting Craig Button, but he did say a smart quote here. I believe it was Craig that said it, or even Ray Ferraro might have said it, but these are times where teams either are really foolish with money or smart with money. I think Toronto was smart. And $11 million doesn't look smart, but the type of player you're getting for 7 years who's still young, great. Philadelphia, I find that was stupid with their money. I really do. I think they could have saved a couple million there, or not at least $1 million. I think they could have gotten around the 5.75 range. Paul Stastny, I think that's also another thing that's too steep, but there's a guy that made a big impact in Winnipeg when he was there. But people are saying how the cap is going to improve the next couple of years. Those are all what-if factors. Those haven't happened yet. So a lot of teams like Vancouver, too, with Roussel spending $3 million. Then you bring in Jay Beagle. The Jay Beagle at $3 million per for 4 years. They're committing to a fourth-line guy, but he's also not playing behind Nick Backstrom or Kuznetsov anymore. Or Lars Eller. Sorry, there's three centermen that he's playing behind. Eller had a great playoff. So I'm just going to say over to you, Justin, on the reaction of the Paul Stastny signing to Vegas. Not surprised if they made a splash. And I'm sure they're not done trying to make a splash to acquire a big player, you know what I'm saying?
Vegas had to make a move to acquire some of the depth they were losing with James Neal. Not that it's a like positionally, but it's also not a bad move. Now I kind of feel like Winnipeg maybe got burned there a little bit. I think Winnipeg moved Armia and thinking that Stastny was going to stay. I don't know. I think he took the money.
Yep.
I honestly do. I think that's how that shook out. I don't think he took an opportunity. I think he took the money to continue to play somewhere, and that's how that shook out.
Yep.
But again, that's how this time of year works. Sometimes players go somewhere where they want to play, and sometimes players shore up the bank account.
In this instance, Vegas does have cap room, though. Does have a lot of cap room. Brad, just another reaction. We'll talk about a player who got signed, and I really am a big fan of
the signing for. People think it's bad, but I think it's a good gamble by Chicago with a 1 year, $1 million deal for Chris Kunitz, bringing in a veteran guy like that. I know they're trying to get back in the playoff run, but one signing that I like that I want to get your reaction on was Michael Grabner. Grabner to Arizona, 3.35. He's making just a little bit more than Komarov did, and the guy scored a lot of goals, and he's a power or penalty kill specialist, and he's one of the fastest guys in the National Hockey League as well. He's very quick. Just get your reaction on Grabner and what fit that he'll have in Arizona.
Yeah, you know what I mean. That's a team that's in rebuild mode, but I think he's again, we talk about Detroit being a situation where you bring in some veteran guys to to help mentor the young guys. I think Grabner's a good fit there. He's like you said, he's a guy who's got some skill. He's been productive at the NHL level, and I think he's a guy who's a solid addition to any franchise. And, for me, if I'm an Arizona Coyotes fan, and I know there probably aren't that many of them, but if I'm an Arizona Coyotes fan, I like that. I like that signing a lot.
Yeah, big time. And I really think that he's, he struggled when he spent his time in Toronto, but he definitely flourished with the New York Rangers. Now, kind of the last thing I want to touch on before we conclude tonight's show is Robin Leonard to the New York Islanders. New York Islanders training development camp that went on was an absolute show of people being amazing with their hands in shootouts. A lot of barstool, a lot of spit and chicklets, links there, and a lot of things. Wallstrom. This process is looking pretty dynamite for the New York Islanders. But is Robin Leonard going to be their answer in net? Thomas Kreiser, Leonard has not lived up to stuff in the National Hockey League. He's going to be playing probably behind Kreis, with Halak going over the Boston Bruins. But obviously, the Islanders made a move here to try to get somebody in there that can maybe, hopefully for a gamble, maybe he'll bounce back and be the number one goalie. But it doesn't upgrade the position in net this year.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, I'm not a fan.
You'd know firsthand, covering the Hounds with Leonard there.
I'm not a fan. I mean, for me, Robin Leonard, there's enough skill there for him to be, not a good NHL goalie, but a guy who's going to go in and fill a backup role, make some starts. He's a guy who could be productive at that level. My biggest issue with Robin Leonard is and always will be his attitude. I mean, I'll say it. Robin Leonard's attitude is absolute garbage. I saw the way he dealt with things here, and there were times where, and for me that was at a time when I was first getting into this, so I wasn't spending a lot of time around the team, but you see things. You see how he treated some people, and to me, the guy's attitude hasn't changed. And that's a massive, massive issue for him. And that's the reason I don't think he's been productive at the NHL level, because his attitude is terrible. If he could get that under wraps, he might actually have a shot at a career in the NHL. But as far as I'm concerned, his attitude is ruining him.
Yep, it is. For sure has. And it's demonstrated in his time, especially with the Buffalo Sabres. Now, fellas, I know Dane would be very excited for me to say this.
Ryan Strome re-upping with the Edmonton Oilers. That was another great turnout trade there by Peter Chiarelli, and seems like I don't know who's the battle for the worst GM in the league right now in terms of favoritism, if it's Bergevin or if it's Chiarelli. But I think it's still got to be Bergevin. What's your opinion, listeners? Do you think Bergevin or Chiarelli is the worst GM in the National Hockey League, or other? And let me tell you, if you say Dubas, you better not be living in the sewer, or you better not state your name, because you're completely wrong and you're embarrassing yourself. Because he signed Tavares. Yep, had to say it. But anyways, fellas, it's a Friday night. We had a good time here at Boston Pizza. Lively atmosphere as always. Great staff. I want to say thanks to Mitch Wilson, the bringer of beer. I want to say thanks to Sarah. I want to say thanks to all the staff here at Boston Pizza and Grisdack. And, for always the great hospitality that we have here when we're here on Thursdays, Fridays, and or Sundays, especially with these summer months of adjusting. And don't forget, this Sunday, myself, Justin, and Brad are live on location at Silver Creek Golf Course for our debut at Silver Creek. It can be very exciting there. And we might even play a little bit of golf. The fellas are just learning that I've said that now. I don't know how they feel about it, but at the end of the day,
golf game is non-existent.
But we're gonna play. We're gonna have some fun there at Silver Creek. And the trivia question, as I said, the trivia question is now going to be, a Silver Creek edition of the Trivia Question. We'll still have some questions here throughout the last couple weeks of Boston Pizza, but it's going to be 18 holes of golf. A free round of golf will be given out with our trivia question. Nice free round of golf if you answer the question right, courtesy of Jamie Henderson, Silver Creek Golf Course. And once again, we are there this Sunday. That is July the 8th. So make sure you can come on down to Silver Creek. And the time that we're there is we're going to be there at approximately 5:45 p.m., 6 o'clock range, where we're going to start recording. And the show will be until about 7 o'clock. As we're just talking about an hour, we're just going to have basic and continued hockey, baseball, and golf talk, as it's going to be directed from our show here at Boston Pizza. So that's our next upcoming show. So make sure you tune into that, and on Sunday we'll state the next upcoming week agenda so you're able to follow much more clear and concise. I want to say thanks to Scott Nason, our board operator tonight, as always, and I want to thank you, the listeners, for stopping on by. I want to say thanks to one of all my usual suspects here, the guy to my left, Brad Cochimilio. Thanks for coming by, my friend. Until Sunday.
I was in the area. I figured, you know what, I needed something to do.
Yeah.
In the area, may as well drop by and talk.
And you're on the payroll.
And I'm on the payroll. Still waiting for that first check in the mail.
Justin, thanks for coming by, brother.
Well, you know, I'm always around. Wherever you are, I'm not far behind. Usually about 15 minutes late.
Yeah, usually actually you're the one here, and I'm the one who's a bit behind.
You know, we got to keep balance, right?
Yeah, we do. We definitely substitute for each other pretty good. And I'm going to say thank you once again to the listeners for coming on by. I want to say thanks to our sponsors here on the Game Sports Show one more time. It is Boston Pizza, Sports Center Bar and Grill, North Shore Sports and Auto, the Salon, the Superior Pro Shop, Discover the Canvas, Northern Quitters in Need, Big Brother, Big Sister, KBX Hockey, and Silver Creek Golf Course, along with Northern Signs. And pretty soon we'll have an additional sponsor on top of that again. A lot of sponsors being added to the show. That is a great thing. I want to say thanks to the Wicked Sister and Pingator Cleaners over in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan as well. So, like I said, make sure you follow us. TheGameSportsShow.podbean.com. Very simple. Log in to that. Hit follow. And you're following this Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. Check out our website, TheGameSportsShow.com, and purchase our merchandise by emailing TheGameSportsShowSSM@gmail.com. State the amount of shirts you need and sizes, and we could deliver if you live in Sumish or in Sault, Ontario. If you live out, we will have to pay delivery charges, but we'll make it worth your while in terms of deals, and your proceeds go towards charities, Big Brother, Big Sister, and Northern Quitters in Need. You can also follow us on Instagram, The Game Sports Show SSM, and that is a fresh new Instagram page. Everything's just going to launch there, and that will be more active starting the week of July 9th, as we're going to start releasing some promotional items on there as well, so make sure you don't want to miss that. Now, going to get to the usual conclusion portion of the show. The patented conclusion. Yeah, I said patented. Keep your stick on the ice. Swing your bat. Catch your touchdown. Drain your threes. And shoot your shots. Booyah.